Hello, everybody. And here we go. Looking at a few little things. Moving this here. Moving this here. Like this. And here we go, guys. And here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is another Shortwave radio show. And we are live twice a week, of course. We are live on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, 0 UTC. We are also live on Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 20 UTC. And something interesting is going to happen this Friday. We're going to actually have Sheldon call us via Skype from the Shortwave Fest in Pennsylvania. So this is going to be a lot of fun. My setup will be different on Friday. I will actually install my RSP1A on the living room computer, and I'll be in the living room with the 50-inch TV exceptionally for that show, so that it's going to be different. And I hope that everything is going to work right. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to be waiting for that call. So it's going to be cool. We'll have a little, look at what's happening in Pennsylvania at the Shortwave Fest. And, that's the big Shortwave event of the year. So that's coming this Friday's show. It's going to be a really, really a lot of fun. This is a show about radio. For those that have no idea what we're talking about, we talk about radio in all its form, but shortwave radio is one of the forms that we actually talk about quite a lot. This is the place to, just chill out and feel like you're with some friends, and that everything will be just amazing because it's like a big party. We're all radio geeks. And, we always talk about how solitary this hobby is. Well, this is to make it anything but solitary, honestly. We, of course, have a Facebook group, wonderful Facebook group, which has the same name as the channel here, which is Official SWL Channel. And that Facebook group, well, it's there to kind of, be an extension of this. We talk about how people have a lot of fun being here, have a lot of fun sharing. And we have, a chat room that's really cool. But when all of this is over, where do we go to? Where do we head to? Well, we head to the Facebook group so that we can actually have fun and continue having fun with radio. And this is, of course, the great time. So Paul is not here, as you see, guys. Sorry. He's in the, he was actually eating his food. I don't know. I'll check a little while back. But anyways, here we talk about everything radio, and we just have a great time, honestly. That's what's important. And hopefully you enjoy what we do here. And like I said, the Facebook group is really an extension. It's fun to continue there and continue posting about radio pictures and whatever you're listening to, and just having a lot of fun with other radio guys every week, because that's the fun part of that group, is that you guys can continue having fun as we continue through the week in between the live shows. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and that's the northeast part of North America. Of course, I've got my beer. This is the first one for tonight is a cranberry flavored Belgian ale. So cheers. Nice to have everybody on board. Whatever you want, tea, coffee, Coca-Cola, water, and just, whiskey. Have your favorite drink and just jump aboard and enjoy the live show with everybody. Hope that everybody really, really enjoys the time over here. Jay Wannison 69, nice to have you on board, my friend. Dan Robinson, nice to have you here. Yep, Shortwave Fest soon. I wanted to attend this year, and it's like a complicated set of circumstances. But let's cross our fingers. I want to try to be there for 2021. So we'll see as the year goes by. But it'd be really a lot of fun. I would actually have a lot of fun being live from Shortwave Fest. It'd be a lot of fun to do that. So let's cross our fingers. And if all goes well, maybe I will be there next year. Bobby Burgess, WA5107SWL. Nice to have you on board from Louisiana, USA. And Bob, nice to have you here. And he hopes to be at the fest in 2021. We'll try to have all of you here. Dear Forestry, nice to have you here. Radio Wave Seeker is your AKA Radio Wave Seeker. Got hacked. Oh man, that is bad. That's why you need to have two-factor authentication. It's a must to have two-factor authentication. Google gives you a lot of possibilities of blocking down your account. I use all the top possibilities that Google has so that nothing can happen. Even if you would know my password, you would still not be able to get in. So because I need to approve, I actually use I don't use the code. I use the authentication app on the phone. So if you know my password and you log in, you're going to be stuck at a page waiting for authentication. I'll have here a little something that's going to say, hey, you got to approve the login. And of course, if I haven't done any login, well, then of course I'll just say no. And that means it ends there. So it's really important today because it's easy to lose control of accounts. And I change my passwords like regularly. I got a different one for every account. It's a really complex password. And I don't take any chances because, this is my living. So you can't take any chances at that point. Sorry to hear that, my friend. Matt, nice to have you here from Denver, Colorado. Matambali, nice to have you on board from Colorado. What do we have? Bob says, love this group. Great DX to all. William Helms, nice to have you here from Florida. What else do we have? Rufus, nice to have you here, Rufus, from the Laurentian Valley, Ontario. Nice to have you on board. Pablo, nice to have you here from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Really nice to have you here, my friend Pablo. Linux DOS, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Matt. Yeah, Matt, I mean, if you're careful, you have two-factor authentication, makes it difficult for hackers to do anything. But, there are other things that can happen that make your videos gone tomorrow. It could be a major YouTube screw up and the videos are gone. I think about that from time to time. But you know what? The problem is when you have a certain amount of videos, a manageable amount of videos. You can think of having external hard drives and stuff like that, or put them in some cloud storage. Problem is when you get to a level like I do, it just doesn't become manageable anymore to store them at other places. So it gets really complicated at some point, honestly. Dear Forestry has a new toy, the SDR Play RS BDX. I love mine. It's an amazing, amazing toy. It's really, really cool and really a lot of fun. Rufus, lots of snow your way. Here we're going to have here's going to be mixed with rain tonight. So it's supposed to start snowing really hard later this evening here and all day tomorrow. But because it's going to mix here, it's supposed to be mixed with rain during the night. We're not going to have that much snow, but we still probably going to have like 6 or 7 inches at least before it all ends tomorrow night. Matt says, got an RSPDX. It's nice. I haven't really run a comparison with the RSP2 Pro. I have like done switching between RSP1A and RSPDX. And the more what I see is that the performance level on shortwave and VHF UHF is very, very similar. But where it beats every other device is really, really that high dynamic range below 2 megahertz. If you're a medium wave DXer, it does make a big difference. And it copes better with signals that are really strong. James Powers, nice to have you here from New Hampshire, Key C1ENJ. Esteban, nice to have you here from the Canary Islands. Pretty cool. Northern Dawn, nice to have you on board from England. Linux DOS, New Brunswick, Canada. Northern Dawn just picked up a RadioWow and to try out. It's a nice little radio. Honestly, the RadioWow R108 is a really cool little radio, and I've really been enjoying a lot. And I'm going to talk about something else that I got today. For those that haven't seen it yet, look at that, guys. Look at that little thing that I got today. A Sea-Crane CC Skywave SSB is my new toy today. Thanks to Kevin Janapalo. Once again, it's really, really cool. And he's been sending me these radios, and I'm really, really been enjoying that. So I played with it a big, big part of the afternoon. And actually, I had the XH Data D808 also, and kind of interesting. It's interesting little radio. I already have a few observations on it, and anyways, we'll talk about it a little later as we get through the chat room here. Joe Brown, nice to have you here from a snowy, wintry southeast Michigan. John W., nice to have you here from East Tennessee. Rob, nice to have you here from Phoenix, Arizona. Brent, nice to have you on board from Brockville, Ontario, Canada. 2E0 UKH Digital Analog Ham. Nice to have you here, my friend. Redelva 65 from New York City. Terry Cook, KF7BQ from Western Montana. Tony Turtle, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Dave Todd, nice to have you here from Niagara. Jerry DX, nice to have you here. Rifleman 336 and 8UCN from snowy Southwest Ohio. So, William, we're going to have a not exactly a snowstorm because it's not going to be in Montreal, at least no. For the north of Montreal, they're really calling it a winter storm. But here it's going to be mostly snow, some wind tomorrow. But it's going to be mixed with rain, so it's not going to have as much accumulation. Right now, I see that it's snowing a little bit, and it's -1 outside, so we'll see how it goes through the night. Leg lamp show. Jay Watterson 69. Have you put? Whoops, I lost my spot here. Have you put away supplies just in case there are disruptions due to the coronavirus? Have you heard any chatter about it on the airwaves? So, of course, shortwave stations talk a lot about it. One station, particularly Radio Japan, probably because they're closer to where all of that is starting. There's a lot of talk on the news bulletins of different stations of that virus. Like everywhere around the world, there's a lot of talk, a lot of what's going to happen. Um, I think the biggest problem is the hype that that is probably too important for what it is. I mean, I know that some people are dying, but when you look at how many people die versus how many people get it, it has the same ability to kill than the flu, and the flu kills like 2 to 3 to 4% of people every year, and we don't talk about it, and there's the flu is every winter and every year. Um, I think what is happening is that the media, as good as the media can be and amazing and help us out when things go bad or when something we got to talk about something. At the same time, media can create some panic that is maybe a little over reacting on everything. Um, that said, of course, it's an event that's important. I don't have any supplies or I don't think any special care of anything because of that. Of course, it's wise to simply take a look at the situation and see how it goes. And every country is going to cope with it in different ways. I know that here in Quebec, the health officials kind of they're kind of on a watch. It's not an alert, but they're on a watch just in case there would be too many cases of that coronavirus. And here our hospitals right now are already stressed out because in the wintertime, the flu and all of that is making a lot of people sick, and it kind of overwhelms a little bit our healthcare system here. And so, what is probably creating a little stress on health officials here is the fact that since our hospitals are already maxed out with all the people showing up with the flu, if that is added on top of it, it's creating even more stress on the system. That's for sure. But we gotta. I don't think we gotta panic on anything here. And I don't. I'm not one of those that goes with the overhype of everything. I have a very rational way of looking at things. I remember a friend of mine when it all started. A friend of mine says, I remember looked at me and says, "Wow, this is going to be bad." And I said, well, it's. I mean, we live in a world where disease will be there. I mean, this is not the last, and it's not the first, and it's not the last time something happens like that. Um, what I think we need to watch is when the big one, when that, you know, a virus someday that will be really deadly shows up. That's where we need to be scared. Right now, what we see is it's simply, the people that died are mostly the elderly that are sick or weak, and the young, because babies and very early at a young age, our system isn't ready yet for all the assaults of the world, because we live through, I mean, bacteria and viruses. We meet billions of all of that every day in our common lives. But from time to time, something's going to pop up, and I think it's important to dose the reality versus what the news is always trying to have us panic on everything. It's the way that the news works. The news is always trying to kind of hype everything up. I remember telling a friend how I thought that the new, there's that new word that they use called weather bomb, when there's a big storm. Yeah, oh, look at that. That's going to be a weather bomb. Yeah, you really have to use the word bomb with a big snowstorm? Come on. That's just like, you're trying to just be sensational like the rest of the news. Really? Do we have to hype up the weather? I mean, come on. But, you got to be careful and we got to look around. That's for sure. And, if it spreads everywhere, yeah, it's going to put a stress on pretty much every country in the world because we'll have to cope with that over the fact that we're already coping with other things. I'm sure in the United States at this time of the year, a lot of hospitals have a lot of people because of the flu and, that get sick in the wintertime. That's going to be added over. And because the news is there to try to make everybody panic, well, it creates that fear that we should. I'm not going to honestly, even if I hear that in Montreal, a lot of people have it. I'm not going to stop going out at the bar and I'm not going to stop going downtown and, but a lot of people do. A lot of people will not spend their money anymore. And that could create a really big stress on, everything. I think I was telling, we were talking about the economy, because there's all these things. And, last year, some people were saying, oh, we're going into a recession. And some people were saying no, and then blah, blah, blah. And a friend of mine asked me my opinion on that. And I said, you know what? We often see a recession coming by all sorts of little pointers here and there. I said to my friend, you know what? The next one's going to be a big surprise. It's going to happen because of something that we don't even think about right now. Well, look at the coronavirus stuff. That's the perfect thing and the panic that the media is trying to give on all of this. Well, that's the perfect way of getting into a recession. Everybody panics. Nobody goes out. Nobody spends their money anymore. And there we go. So we got to be careful. And I think the news is as fantastic as news outlets can be. They also can be really bad at, making everybody panic on stuff. David, KJ4CMY, nice to have you on board from the middle of Georgia. Kevin Wood, nice to have you here from Nova Scotia. Everybody's saying Facebook group is amazing. James Farley, nice to have you here from New Jersey. Rufus says the catch of Radio Voz Missionaria was from a Facebook post. Super catch last night. It was strong. I have not heard Voz Missionaria on 9666 right now so strong as last night. It was amazing. I mean, I'm looking at it today and I don't even see a peep of a signal. But yesterday, it's there, but it's very weak tonight. I had not received that station, I think, ever as strong as last night. Crazy. David is prune juice. Cool. The next DOS beer that is good for the prostate. Yeah. And urinary infections also. Cranberry, I believe. I accept the blame, Larry. Larry says, thanks for not costing me money this week. Well, you know what? Maybe I will. Maybe after you see this little Sea Crane Skywave SSB, you're going to spend some more money. Oh, God. Oh, man. Gustavo Pinto, nice to have you here. It was so strong. I still am amazed at last night. 2E0 UKH from England. Joe from the US. Nice to have you here from Brazil. Danny Shortwave Radio DX from Yonkers, New York. Nice to have you here. Dear Forestry says, thanks, John. Pretty much gave up on my own vids after that. I will just enjoy yours. Yeah, it puts a damper because when you work hard on something and that happens, that feel of having to start from zero, from scratch. Yeah, it's kind of a tough thing to really come back to, Sorry to hear that, though. Chuck Yunkin, nice to have you here. Mitch, nice to have you on board from Buckeye, Arizona. Michael Langer, nice to have you on board. V3KRP, Fast Eddie in Thunder Bay, Ontario, nice to have you on board. Pedro Cuna, nice to have you here. Pedro from Portugal. Northern Dawn just got the R108. Trying out this weekend. Cool. Ham Radio Fun, nice to have you here from Manchester, UK. Glenn Finney, nice to have you here from Suffolk, Virginia. Brent, where did you purchase your RSPDX? I got it free, Brent. My RSPDX was offered to me by SDR Play Direct. So I got a email. I got an email from SDR Play, and they kind of agreed. They kind of hinted that I was helping and that a lot in the sales of SDR Play devices. So they actually offered me an RSPDX for free. So that is how I got it. Direct from the UK for free. I was actually a little almost shy because when I posted that I got it the RSPDX, I had a lot of people saying, well, mine's back order. And I was like, well, I feel important. I got one like direct before people actually have them on back order. Mark Stevens, nice to have you here. Loves the Texan PL 880, especially the single sideband. Keegan, nice to have you here in Northwest Arkansas. Daniel Dyer, nice to have you here from Asheville, North Carolina. Roberto Rojas, nice to have you here. Chin Chin from Argentina. Chin Chin, desde Montreal, Canada. 68 WR048 Marty, nice to have you on board from Northern Ireland. Northern Dawn, C-Crane makes some nice products. What do I think of the C-Crane radio? We're gonna learn that in a few minutes. I'm just gonna try to catch up with the chat room a little bit, and we're going to talk about it for sure. Dear Forestry, I can tell you that with a i5, it generally, my RSPDX is right now on running. So the screen that you see on Friday, 32-inch Sony TV, that has the RSPDX on it, and I dedicated my old laptop to that. It's a Core i5 from 2014, 15-ish. So it's like 5 to 6 years old now. And it actually is working great. I can have the full 10 megahertz spectrum visible. And I still have lots of resource to do other things on the computer. And so it's it got 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it got a Core i5 from I think it's a Core i5 from 2014. So, Bobby Burgess, yeah, well, I know that the International Committee of the Olympics said that it was not going to be postponed or anything. But there are some events. I know that in Japan, some of the big sumo events that they have been postponed for now. No, Matt, the flu kills from 2 to 4%. Get your facts. I tell you, it is 2 to 4%. And it is exactly the same as the coronavirus. Go to the, how is it in the United States? 0.3% is a wrong number. It might be 0.3% in certain stuff, but the overall number is 2 to 4%. It's the flu is the biggest killer of some of the diseases we have right now. And I can tell you, I know what I'm talking about. Dan V, nice to have you here from Northeast Ohio, N8WJZ. Keegan is listening with his dad's W9JEF's ICOM IC7300 and the W6 LVP loop antenna. Andy Coley, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Giuseppe Fisoni, nice to have Giuseppe. Says, when is your review coming out of your ICOM SCR30? I'm trying to make it this week. Jerry DX, if you get sick, just express ship all the radios. You want to keep them safe for me? Oh, God. What else do we have? Vince, salut. Bonjour et bienvenue. Toujours un plaisir. Tiago, all the media news wants to see panic. You know, the regular news is always trying to be sensational, so we always look at the stuff there. Rifle Man 336, just like the polar vortex. It happens every winter. Brent, just remembered you received our SPDX from SDR Play to try. Thanks. Alex Jones has a few food buckets for sale. Better stock up. Yep, and tinfoil. Well, it's not a question of distrust, but the media is not helping itself by promoting or by being too intense on the news, though. You know, I'm not saying the media is not saying the truth, but the media is overhyping everything. Keegan has 7850 CHU. Well, Max says strong. We need to trust the news. I think the good news sources need to be are trustable. It's just that they are creating a bad habit and overhyping the news. Dave O'Toole, nice to have you here from Dublin, Ireland. Jim from Rhode Island. And you'll see the Olympics are going to happen anyway. It's too big of a event. Kevin Jane Apollo, nice to have you here. WS2H Radio Event English 5040. Nice to have you here. He's got a flu-like illness, that tired and sore throat. Probably what I had last week. If that's what I had last week on Monday, man. And thanks again, Kevin. It's arrived today. Pretty fast shipping, hey? And I played with it all afternoon, actually. It has some strange similarities in the way that it operates with the XH data. And boy, is it small. You know, you look at these radios. I always say it. You look at these radios, and you're like, man, these look small. You know, they look big on the picture. They look big on whatever ad you look at, but you get it, and you're like, well, I got this tiny little radio here. It's pretty crazy. WF7I Homebrew, nice to have you on board. Feels like vendredi. Yeah, sometimes, but it's got to be careful. We got to be careful because when Wednesday feels like Friday, makes Thursday a little longer. Frank V, nice to have you here. Texan PL 880, just amazing. Cool. Glenn Zeckman, nice to have you here from Tennessee. The problem is today, the media, a lot of people have a hard time making the difference between the media that tells the good news and the real news from the things that are fake. That's the danger. I mean, the internet is the problem of a lot of fake news, and we got to be careful with that. Brett Wayne, nice to have you on board. David Martin, Hardbell's ghost would be able to reveal the truth. Jean Jean-Marc Letts, bonjour de Strasbourg en France. Toujours un plaisir. Nice to have you on board. Yeah, NIH, National Institute of Health. Oh, probably, Matt. People die of a lot of stuff, probably much more than anything else. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. I think it's what's important is to make the good part of things, and to analyze what you're hearing, and be able to then see, okay, this is how it goes right now. Bobby should have been a doctor. I would like that. I would have probably enjoyed being a doctor. Probably not all the school that you had to go to for it, but I'm one of those guys that's interested in so many things. I mean, I read a lot of medical literature, and I mean not whatever bozo doctor is saying, the real stuff from that are from good sources about every aspect of health and the human body and so on. I've always been very interested in all of that. I'm interested in so many things. I mean, everything scientific and anything that is. I don't know, I'm just amazed at all of this. Anyways, I'm amazed at how the human body just works. I mean, it's crazy. Randy, Riverside, California. Nice to have you here. I mean, we got to keep an eye out for what's happening, but we've got to one day there's going to be the real thing that's going to be crazy. So so what do we have here? Okay. Linux DOS, some very strong noise, Racket 4278. This is on 4278. I've got some radio teletype stuff and something that looks like Stanag. There's definitely Stanag in there, which is a digital mode. Joe Sumda Newhouse, could rain interfere with shortwave propagation? Raining a lot here. Rain doesn't, or weather doesn't usually affect below 30 megahertz really much. Honestly. Yeah, Matt, but the overall, it because it depends on the stats of what, because every country is different. But the flu does kill a lot of people. And when I talk about the flu, I'm talking about influenza, which is the worst flu of all. Because the cold or colds or stuff like that, or there are other diseases also, like chicken pox actually kills more than we think. That's why vaccination is important. And that's where it's like the anti-vaxxers. It's like too much misinformation of everything. Yes. I remember telling a friend of mine that didn't want to get her kid vaccinated. She said, "Well, he could die from it." I said, "Yeah, he could." Okay, let's face it. Yes, it's possible that he could die from it. He has more chances of dying of the disease you're not actually vaccinating him from. A lot more. That's where you got to understand that everything has a risk, but not vaccinating is a bigger risk. Yeah, it was fast, Kevin. Yeah, the customs did. I think customs just getting used to you. Yeah. Oh, it's Kevin. It's Kevin. Oh, it's Kevin. It's to gel. Okay, it can go through. There's no drugs in there. uh, what do we have here? Tom the Xer. Nice to have you here. Gaetan Belil, bonsoir. Good evening. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Well, there's already a base, Matt, about how people panic of everything. I mean, a friend of mine brings hand sanitization stuff. Like, she touches something in the metro or in the bus, and it's like, I never think of that. It's like, yeah, I suppose I can, yeah, I can get the flu or get sick because I touched something that a million people touched. Yeah, of course, that's the way it goes. Not cleaning your hands and stuff. But I don't know. There's an overhype here. I mean. I think the worst is the stay home part, Mitch. Stay home. It's like I remember seeing an article where they were saying, the when you go to McDonald's or any fast food that has these touch screens for your orders, there's fecal matter on that touch screen like crazy, which means a lot of people that touch that screen didn't wash their hands when they went to poop. That means if you start thinking about it seriously, you're going to go nuts. So yeah, you're actually touching other people's poop on that McDonald's touchscreen to get food. Now we're far away from radio. Rufus says Jill is a geek nerd, and I'm happy to be it. Oh man. Annie Cole, it took 8 years of my life in training to become a doctor. 4340. Yeah, that's Stanag. 4340 Linux docs. That's Stanag. Most of it is because there's a piece of software that you can decode with, which is multi-PSK. But almost everything in Stanag is encrypted. There's a few of them that are not. One from Senegal that I actually was able to decode last year. But most of the Stanag is actually encrypted. Kimberly, nice to have you on board. So, like, I was saying about the rain and the weather, below 30 megahertz in general doesn't affect much of the radio aspect of things. Don't eat bats. Oh, darn. Max, it's strong. Don't eat bats. We can't have fun anywhere. I want to eat a bat a day. A bat a day keeps the doctor really close. Scroll brains. Oh man. What else do we have? Well, Jerry X, it's more like a bad radio reception probably drives people to the nut house. I would say it drives them to the nut house. So, you know. Tom the Xer, so far this year, regular flu has killed 14,000 people in the United States. Do you mean so far this year, 2020? That's a lot of people. Tiago says in the 17th century, pest killed half population in Europe. Yeah, and even don't even have to go very far. Just look at the Spanish flu of what is it, 1918, 1917, First World War. That was a pretty bad one. It killed a lot of people. You know, that's what we need to watch for. That type of I mean, every time they start talking about something like the coronavirus, whatever, we need to be alert and check the situation. But we need to worry about some of that bad stuff that one day is going to happen. And I don't want to be negative, but I think that the world isn't prepared to stop an outbreak of anything. There's like too many people traveling, and it's too complicated. The control is difficult. Matt says anti-vaxxers driving nuts. I actually went into each link one pasted and showed how each one failed to prove their claim. Crickets was a response. Yeah. Usually they don't answer back. What I do a lot is go into we when I see a friend of mine, one of my Facebook friends is, I don't know, she believes everything she sees on the web. And so, I look at her post and I'm like, wow, are you serious? You're sharing that crap? And what I do on my Facebook wall is actually I will often go online and check the facts and then post to her a link and say, that is fake news. That website always has fake news. That thing is fake news. Eating celery every day is going to make you live to 100 years. Yeah, right. Well, I'll make my own fake news. Drink beer every day and you're going to live till 100. I lived to 100 and was happy all the time. Pretty crazy. Kevexy 1976. If you think you were exposed to coronavirus, just eat a lot of limes. Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely. I know it's disgusting, Matt says strong, but it's a real fact that you are putting your hands on poop on those touchscreens. Rick, W8PRR in Ohio. Nice to have you here. Man. Yeah, it's true. You're pretty good idea here. Hey, Kevin, where are you, Kevin? I think it's pretty safe to say that Kevin Jane Apollo needs to be a moderator. And here we go, Kevin. You are now officially a moderator. Of course you deserve it. What else do we have? My email. Oh, cool. Thanks. Some nice stuff to help out in my knowledge of the human body and health and everything and biology. Thank you so much. Oh man. What else do we have? What else do we have? Yeah, Kimberly, there's no excuse for washing your hands. You're totally right. G Bone 1, nice to have you here. You guys gonna laugh? I was at a bar and I go to pee, and somebody looks at me and says, "Did you wash your hands before you went to pee?" And my answer was, "Look, I just touched the door handle. So I'm not going to touch my dongle before I wash my hands. And then I'll wash them again late after." And he says, "You're crazy." I said, "No, think about it seriously. You touched the doorknob, you touched that, and you touched that a million people touch. And you are going to pee with your, take out your dongle in your hand with all that bacteria on it." Oh, man. True life story. My life is full of those. We were talking about, I know it's not a radio, guys, but we're in the subject a little bit. But I was talking with a friend once about how, we about getting sick and everything. And I remember I used to take the bus and the subway a lot. Then I got myself a bike. And so with a bike, I didn't go and use the public transit. And I remember telling one of my friends that I was less often sick since I was using my bike than when I was going through the public transit all the time. G-Bone 1, nice to have you here. David is busy reprogramming his handy-talkie while watching. Nice getting on the new on the air in the new QTH. Cool. Yeah, you're still unpacking and making everything ready, right? So cool. Matt, time to start Eat Bats for Health channel. That's gonna take. Anybody that wants to, you could have done from the start, I don't know, the you name a channel coronavirus and you just start, saying, well, I found that by eating bats and by drinking carrot juice, it's always better for your health. And you're right, Matt. There are people out there that would follow it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Max, that's wrong. Eating bats improves your hearing. Oh, God. Esteban has learned today about the Russian buzzing shortwave broadcast, the 4625 buzzer. Buzzing all the time. Yeah, I hear it here from time to time. Is it back on, by the way? It was off last weekend. Trying it here. 4625. Can anybody in maybe in Europe check the buzzer? 4625. William Powell, his DR is awesome. Finally working after 3 weeks. Cool. Oh, yeah, smartphone. And when you use a small device, and especially when the chat goes really, fast, crazy. Tiago, indeed, Spanish flu. Yep. Tom DX, or 14,000, 2020 flu season. Okay. Interesting. Michael Langer, 6060. Cuba, 6060. Yeah, it's pretty strong tonight. Pretty strong tonight. I see HCJB and Keto next to it. Actually, not too bad. If you guys try 6050 HCJB, which is the only frequency left from Quito, Ecuador, it's actually not bad. Yeah, Max, absolutely. Pandemic someday of really bad one will be difficult, and you know why? What's good with that is that we are already in the solitary hobby. We can just lock ourselves in and just listen to the radio. We'll be the ones hearing of what's happening everywhere, and then we'll come out, and we'll be the only radio listening guys in the world. We're gonna own the world with radio. And with that thought, we're going to start with another beer, which is Mudzit. Mudzit, which means beer of the damned. And we're not going to be damned. We're going to have radios. Keegan, wiping shopping cart handles clean as always. Doorknobs. Yep. Same thing. I was talking about the touchscreen at McDonald's, but they were saying that the shopping cart handles in the stores. Same thing. Huh? You're putting your hands in other people's poop. You know, when you start thinking about it, you would never touch anything. They should have shopping cart washers at the store. Yeah, that's it. I got the coronavirus live on this show. Linux DOS. What you don't hear a lot about is bad infectious injections. Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff that happened in the wars. Huh? It's pretty crazy. I remember seeing a documentary of all the atrocities of the world wars. Can tell you one thing. The human race is really bad. All I can say. Yep, washing your hands, number one disease prevention. Absolutely. Absolutely. Michael Langer, Frank Zappa should have been a Doster. Oh, man. What else do we have? What else do we have? Tony Turtle, where the cart after use goes through the washer like a car wash. Yeah, that'd be good. Max A. Strong says he should have been a professional shortwave listener. Now that's a life. I want to be a professional. You know, imagine telling your parents, "I want to be a professional shortwave listener," and they're just like looking at you, and it's like, okay, maybe we should have a talk. Max says strong. Poop and burgers to go. Yeah, that's also true. Like Matt says, actually, you got to be careful. You know what? Because we live in a moment in our lives when an industry has grown only for the purpose that we all are getting nuts with how we need to be clean and clean our hands and everything. But first of all, more and more we see that because people clean too much is actually creating problems with the health. And because, we all did it. We all went when we were young and playing in the sand. Who hasn't actually swallowed a few grain of sands? And did you ever think that all the kids there, some of them, have urinated there, and there's some poo there, and it didn't kill us. It might have made us sick at some point, but in general, it actually makes us stronger. I mean, we got to be careful, but we got to be careful not being at the other extreme, like cleaning everything, because that's also not a good idea. We gotta be somewhere in the middle. I mean, yes, wash your hands, perfect. Don't go crazy. I don't start thinking about the poop on the screen when I go to McDonald's, although I do, but I'm not gonna stop that using the touchscreen. It's like got to be there's a kind of a mix here. You got to be careful. Cool, Kevin. I'm happy to have you as a moderator. You really deserve it. Rufus Newt, soap and water. Yep, pretty much. Always wash your hands before using your radios. Come on, guys. Getting sick using shortwave radios. Oh, man. Max Headstrong used to work in a steel mill. We would joke it was the only job where you had to wash your hands before going to the bathroom. Oh, man. Kimberly, I'm going to wash my hands with soap and water to get my tequila. Oh, God. Matt says, yes, bats and carrot juice for a long life. You agree? JDX gonna make some videos on how to use shortwave radios with Mr. Clean. So today on the show, I will show you how to prevent the coronavirus using a shortwave receiver. So you got to take out these little wipes and the alcohol. So I believe I got it here. You wipe the material. Make sure that your receiver is not touched by anybody else. It's the best way to stay safe. If you want to stay alive, you are the only one allowed on your radio. Oh, God. Yeah, we've got to be careful with that way of seeing things. Jib on one. I mean, we got to be fair. China and Asia is a lot of people, so the chances of something coming from there is actually already bigger than coming from other parts of the world. You know, of course, there's all sorts of things happening, but one day something's going to come up from here too. I mean, we can't pinpoint it's because of Ryan. Buzzer strong in England. Thank you, Ryan. Because I wanted, because was it Saturday? Last Saturday or Friday, somebody came up and said, hey, the buzzer's gone for 625. And actually, it's on the Facebook group. And I joked, oh, okay, it's the end of the world. So let's listen to the radio for our last few hours left on Earth. And but it happens from time to time that the buzzer can be off for a while. So thanks for confirming that it's still there, Ryan. Kevin Wood is hearing the buzzer in Nova Scotia. Cool. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Dave O'Toole, can you hear the buzzer in Dublin? Quite strong. Cool. Yeah, Max. Shortwave listeners will take over the world. Imagine what kind of world that's going to be. Kimberly, my laptop overheated after I was getting all worked up from the conversation about people not washing their hands. W7I, Jill, were you testing two different C Crane radios? I thought there was the small one and also a larger model. Yes, 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 yes. Do I have it close to me? Yeah, it's actually here. I do have a another one that I haven't talked about much yet, which is this one. This is the big one. So I went from 0 C Crane receivers to 2 C Crane receivers now. This one is actually very nice. My review's coming up tomorrow. I'll have the review tomorrow on it. I've been using it. I've been using it a lot, and it's very nice portable. Been having a lot of fun with it. So yep, you were right. I got 2 C Cranes now. So now when people ask questions about how the C Crane radios work and what I think of them, I'll have my own opinion from being able to test with the radios themselves. Kevin, out of curiosity, what is your impression of the Skywave SSB? Do you have any opinions and things you want to share about what you think using it? What you liked or did not like on it? What happened, Kimberly? Did you put your laptop on the sofa or something, and it just blocked all the the vents? Got to be careful with that. You can actually blow up the laptop. What do we have? What does we have? Yeah, escalator rails, everything. Michelangelo wants to know how beer saved modern civilization. You know why? Because once you have a few beers, you stop panicking about pretty much everything. And you start having fun. And that's how beer saved the world, actually. JDX should call your channel official shortwave coronavirus free channel. This is the only channel where you cannot get the coronavirus. Yep. As long as you're watching me and donate, you are safe. Oh, God. Master strong. I like that. He says, I always like Oscar Wilde quote. He had no enemies, but his friends disliked him intensely. There's this girl that I watch that Google translates songs, and she's amazing. She's amazing. I love watching her videos. Whoops. I'm kicking the camera. And so a couple of weeks ago, she turned all the bad comments on her channel, because anybody that has a YouTube channel knows that there's idiots always leaving bad comments. And she Google translated them in like 40 languages. And then she actually gave him out with the translation. It was hilarious. It was such a great way to get back to the haters. It was like some of those comments were really hurtful too. I mean, she's good because she took some of the comments that were really, really hurtful, and still, she would give. So what she would do is she would say the hurtful comment, then she would give the Google translated in 30 language version of it, which was hilarious most of the times. But I thought she was good to do that. It's like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna get back at you. Some of them were really good too, because they would really like get back, and it was like, yeah, that's you could see in her face that some of those comments, she felt good, about. um, Dave Freeman, nice to have you here. No worries. I tell you, really soon. I wanted to try this afternoon actually, but I got a little tied up, and then I played around with the C Crane, but it's coming, Dave. Promise. Jerry wants to be reincarnated as a shortwave radio. Not sure. A lot of people would push my buttons. If it's new, I did that too. Drinking out of a hose. I did that also. Sandra Abarca, where are you from? Ron Hicks. Been checking conditions on the SDRs lately, and the propagation isn't that great. It's actually there was a couple of days last week or at the end of last week where propagation was kind of iffy, but right now it's actually. I'm looking at the 49 meter band here on my screen. There's a lot of signals. Propagation doesn't seem too bad right now. The poop and radio show. Oh God. Uh, WF79. I'm not gonna say it. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get someone mad if I do that. But I'm laughing my head off. Yeah. But I'm not gonna say that because, oh man, he's already mad at me. So, Russ Gladden, nice to have you on board from Ottawa. Air Spy HF Plus Discovery. RTL is the RV3. Emily 30, Texan PL660. Love the show. Well, nice to have you here. And that's a nice lineup of radios and antennas. Yellow snow. Oh, God. Tech guy. Nice to have you here. It says, tune carefully, my friends. Evan Martin, Antarctica, you're next. That's possible. Ron Hicks. Beer foam on my mustache. I know. Rufus New needs the Alex Jones voice. Well, you know what? I was talking to my friend the other day, and he was telling me that if we eat bats, drink carrot juice, and drink beer, we live to 100 years. William, nice to have you here. Do you know why the Texan 660 has skyrocketed in price here in Canada? Well, it hasn't. Well, actually, we got to. So, all radios have skyrocketed in price in Canada because of the crappy exchange rate of the dollar, the Canadian dollar. Um, some of the radios that some of the Texan receivers haven't really raised price that much, but they are so much more expensive here now because of that exchange rate. It's crazy. A lot of the problem is the exchange rate, honestly. Access Strong, Sea Crane, Skywave, good looking little radio. Rob, do not share radios if you want to live. Yes. Jean-Marc Letts, could you give again the voice of Somalia frequencies? Is Somalia still on the shortwave bands? Or you mean that? Do you mean the? So let me just check it out here. That clandestine thing. Let me just check out here. If I can find it quickly, some information about anything that would. So Mogadishu Radio, that's not it. So there's a irregular. Oh, okay. There's an irregular broadcast. 03 to 04, Warsan Radio. 7750. 7750. It's interesting because I see the IRO frequencies from Mogadishu. Is that what you are looking for, Jean-Marc? What else do we have? JRDX, could a guy pushing the button for the buzzer be sick? Maybe. Yeah, it's his job 24 hours a day is boop. He's got that little, Morse code key here, and all he has to do is boop. No, Ryan, we have no idea what's happening with the Albanian relays of China radio. You know what I say, and I'll repeat it again because people tell me, oh well, there's too many China radio out there. There's too many this and too many that. I always say, there's a lot of frequencies available. There's not too many of whatever. And if you don't like what you hear, you can change frequency. And look now, I don't know how many people came up to me and says, well, I don't hear China radio anymore. Yeah, because the relays in Albania are off. So right now, the only frequencies for North America that really work well are the ones from Cuba. Unfortunately, they often have low audio or no audio at all. We have no idea. I was listening to Glenn Hauser's World of Radio the other day, and he was talking about it again. We have no idea what's happening. We don't even have an idea if they want to fix it and come back. Harder's Autocrafter's Kitchen. Nice to have you here from Massachusetts. Started watching the Sangean review. What a nice looking set. Oh, it's beautiful. The ATS 909X is easily the most beautiful radio I have in my collection. Okay, I won't say what you just said, Jerry. Man. Ryan says the buzzer's tone seems to have changed a bit. But one of the things I've noticed about the buzzer is that there's a 60 hertz kind of a background noise or tone in between the buzzer's beeps. Oh yeah, Kimberly, it's probably full of dust. Make sure the fans are working well, and make sure that there's no dust in it. Aging laptops is one of the biggest problems is dust accumulating. As a tech guy, I was always saying that the worst places for laptops and computers were also places where people were smoking. Not only does it now make that dust go in the laptop or computer, but the smoking part of it makes it like an orange goo that's really disgusting and difficult to remove. Kevin says, wish it was not so tinny speaker. I prefer not to listen with headphones. Though the airband scan was great, wish it had the RDS on FM. Medium wave was excellent on such a small radio. Okay, cool. I'm by the way, guys, I'm behind 10 minutes behind the chat, okay, but I will talk about it right now a little bit. So it is kind of interesting. So I'm actually hearing, I don't know if you guys are gonna hear it. This is because it has weather band. This is the Burlington, Vermont weather NOAA weather station on 162,400.
Below after midnight. Friday, summits in and out of clouds in the morning, then becoming cloudy. A chance of snow showers.
So that's one thing that amazes me on it, is that it is very sensitive on the weather band. It is as sensitive as a scanner radio. The second thing I can say already is I went to the airband and scanned the airband a lot because it does have airband capability. This is the best airband. If you're not buying a scanner radio, this is the best shortwave radio that has the airband on it. The airband is more sensitive than every other airband capable shortwave radio I got here. Easily. Plus, it scans faster than all of the radios I own on the airband. So airband capability on the C Crane, I have to say it's pretty amazing. Shortwave. If I consider the shortwave, I'm gonna have to test it more. But that I was a little less happy with. And the audio, obviously, with the very small speaker, isn't the best. It's not the worst that I've seen in radios, though. But more testing coming up. Single sideband tuning and capability is actually not bad. It's it has separate upper lower sideband capabilities. It has a fine tuning. It has a lot of. It's like the XH data. It has many bandwidths to choose from, which is nice. And it's of course a DSP based receiver. It probably has that silicon integrated for what is it, 4734 ish chip in it, and it's but it's an interesting radio. I'm continuing my tests, and we'll compare it. I think the best way to compare it is with the XH data, which is, for me, its closest competition is probably the XH data D808. But I will test it with the Texan PL680 also. And we're going to have lots of videos coming up. That's for sure. That's for sure. G-Bone1 says, I got the Palomar Noise Bridge RX100 this week. And so, what do you think of it? Rifleman 336. It's not before the month of May. I don't have an official week. It's still need to be decided, but somewhere in May, I'll be off for at least a week or two for the remodeling of everything. Ron Hicks, as long as we still listen to Brother Stare and Under Gene Scott. How much for the C-Crane radios, Sandra? So the big one isn't sold anymore because there's no parts. They can't find any parts. But this C-Crane Skywave SSB is around 150, 160 US dollars ish. I saw it at 169 US. I saw it at a place at 149 US. Giuseppe, anyone else enjoying solid reception of Radio Nacional Amazona? Yeah, when China isn't on, 6180 is very good. But there's China is on at certain time here in North America, and it mixes in with that frequency. Indy Pack Rat, nice to have you here. WA 8250 SWL, South Bend, Indiana. Nice to have you here. Rob, I hope Mr. Paul's feeling well today. Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's not in this room, but he's feeling really, really good. Crittenden Tuttle 4. Thank you so much for being here. Says, I got a split, but I wanted to thank you for all your great advice. Just got into SDR and ham radio. You're tremendous help. Thank you very much. That's what I hope to be. Absolutely. That's what I really hope to be. What else do we have? What else do we have? What else do we have? Ryan says, I quite enjoy China Radio International's broadcasts. I mean, they're part of Shortwave, and they're interesting in their own way, you know. They're interesting in their own way. That's for sure. Arthur's Alley Crafter's Kitchen. Actually, not really, because you know what, Arthur's, the Albania transmitters for China Radio were not from the old times. They were brand new transmitters that were actually installed in the early 2000s. These transmitters were not old, and they were actually sent from China to Albania. They are, because a lot of people think that the Albania transmitters are the ones that Radio Tirana was using. They're not. Radio Tirana had its own transmitter site. Those had the old Soviet era transmitters, and those were really out of whack. But China Radio International had sent to Albania Chinese-made transmitters, brand new transmitters. Those were like they're not even 20 years old, which, I mean, these transmitters, when maintained, actually last a long time. And they actually went off the air when Albania had a earthquake a couple of months back. There was a big earthquake in Albania, and the transmitters of China Radio International actually got off the air at that time. Maybe they were damaged by the earthquake, and I don't know. They're not repairing them or anything. Maybe they're thinking, is it worth it to repair these and broadcast again on them? But those are really, really brand new transmitters. David Martin, let's rent an hour on WBCQ and have Jill just read our comments over Shortwave. Speaking of, does WBCQ and its mom and pop staff still exist? WBCQ still exists, absolutely. Owned by Alan Wiener. And, of course, there's the super station on 9330 that is off and on. It was on last week for a while. Is there anything on 9330 right now? I hear something. I don't know if it's that, but it's very, very weak. It's very weak. It's not impossible that it's Superstation, but yep, Alan Wiener still there. So the Superstation, if you didn't know, David Martin, is 500 kilowatts on 9330 for flat earthers broadcast. It's called World's Last Chance, which I had a little chuggle this week because that you guys seen that guy that died in his exploding rocket that he wanted to prove the Earth was flat. Oh God, please help us. Oh man. It's cool. Hamvention and everything is pretty cool. David says, if you're off YouTube for a week or two, we will suffer Gilles withdrawal. Oh man. Max says, "Who approves Gilles vacation requests?" I was joking this Sunday. I was at the bar, and everybody was talking about, they were ranting at how they can't get the dates of the vacations they want, And I was always joking. I was sitting down and I was like, yeah, my boss is super difficult on vacations, and every time I talk about taking a day off, he's always in a bad mood. And they all look at me like, yeah, you're the boss. Oh man. What else do we have? William Helms. I saw a YouTube video about the buzzer. The guy's estimation, it's an ignition coil similar to one Ford Model T. Out of a Lend-Lease vehicle amplified by a hot transmitter microphone. Who knows what it could be, honestly. Jeff King. I always prefer to buy my C-Crane radios direct from C-Crane, even if it's a few dollars more. Um, Arthur says, "Oh, interesting about the Albania transmitter. Guessing though high power and as China made uses vacuum tubes and final output. Great stuff, but fragile. Yeah, but I think it really has to do with that. Something happened with the earthquake, and maybe they don't have the desire to fix it again." Matt says, "I had 9230 earlier today. Well, I've got something. So I'm guessing it might be that, but it's not very strong at this time." Jean-Marc Letz says, "Not that Somalian clandestine. At the beginning of the show, gave frequency of radio in the 31 meter band." Oh, you're talking about uh, that you for the first time and couldn't find the next day. I thought you said Voice of Somalia. No, no, no. We were talking about Jean-Marc, the Radio Voz Missionaria, which is in Brazil. So you might have misheard me in the name. It was the Brazilian one on 9666. Marlock, nice to have you here. Giuseppe, 2 questions. Do you collect QSL cards? And 2, how do you log your receptions? So I haven't sent, well, I sent for a reception report this weekend and last week for first time in many years. I used to collect, I got a big collection of QSLs. A really nice collection of, from the old times and all of that. And if I had time, probably I would probably do it more and collect more QSL cards. I really like that. As for logs, you know what? I don't keep any active logs much. When something unusual, and I always say, because I get the rant all the time. I actually had one not long ago. A guy said, "Yeah, well, he's posting videos of stuff about shortwave, but also posting stuff he listens to make more videos." It's like, yeah, but my official SWL channel has 2 purposes: to be informative with official videos of stuff and live shows, but also to be kind of a logbook of stuff I listen to. So when I post a video of something, like I did post Radio Voz Missionaria, okay, I understand that some people might find that it's uninteresting to hear a station that I was listening to, but it's my way of keeping a log of whatever I'm listening to. And actually, from time to time, I go back through the years and listen to some of the stations that are gone from shortwave that I actually logged a couple of years ago. Actually, I'm getting a big kick sometimes of like Googling, last broadcast of radio, whatever. And the first thing that pops up is one of my own videos from 5 years ago. And I'm like, oh, look at that. A video I made 5 years ago, But I don't keep a log or any, write down much about what I'm listening to. A little more now, because since I do a column on the in the messenger for the utilities signals, and Sheldon was telling me, well, you listen a lot. It'd be fun to have the logs of what um, you're listening to and share them with the different log sections of the messenger. I'm keeping a monthly log just for that. But apart from that, I don't really officially keep a log. And what I find interesting, I'll share on the channel directly, so the videos are here. And I'm thinking about these videos might be interesting because maybe someday, maybe in 50 years from now, and people wonder what shortwave and all of this is all about. Maybe I'll still be, maybe I'll still be have these videos on, and somebody somewhere is gonna watch these videos. By the way, guys, a Spectrum Monitor March issue is out. If you are a Spectrum Monitor subscriber, The March 2020 issue is out today. Check your emails, guys. I'm going to check that out after. James Farley, does your AN48X overload when the gain is turned up even a little? Yes, it does. It overloads in two ways. It overloads in FM. So here I got, the usual FM breakthrough. So I got some FM breakthrough overloading, but it does overload absolutely. It's very tough. It's very tough to use the AN48X. It's unfortunately not, that great. C. Johnson, what radio do you have under your DX100? It's a Navajo CB base station. This is the I don't know if it's plugged in. It's not, but this is a 40 channel CB. The Navajo realistic TRC 432 CB base station. Kevin Martin says 9330 coming in strong in Dallas, Texas. Texan PL 380 telescopic. So says Montreal is a lot closer. Stranger not receiving it. Got a transfer from Maine. Yeah, well, I'm technically not far from Monticello, Maine, and on 9330 it has more chances of skipping over me than anything else. I rarely hear WBCQ very well here. Most of the time, it skips over me. And my best chance is usually the lower frequencies, like, 5130 and stuff like that. DJ Calquito, Doctor, nice to have you here from Costa Rica. Matt says, my YouTube channel is for that purpose. Just document cool stuff. Every now and then I'll find something, and I forgot I had ever copied when I go through my videos. Archer's Alley Crafter's Kitchen says YouTube is an absolutely perfect way to log rare or less frequently heard catches. Blues Dude, nice to have you here from Baton Rouge. Got a couple of friends of mine that are down there for the Mardi Gras, by the way. They're posting tons of photos. What else do we have? G Bone once says, I used to run through the Monitoring Times mag and do it that way, then just hunt for stuff that wasn't in the Monitoring Times. Guitar Lil, this week I received Radio NHK in French broadcasts from Madagascar. Why Japon via Madagascar? Yeah, so here's the thing. A lot of stations are using relays. And of course, that is to improve upon reception in target areas. So why would they, for example, use Madagascar? I actually heard it this afternoon. NHK Radio Japan French on 9855. They use Madagascar because the French language broadcast is meant for Africa. Madagascar is a really extensive relay station, and they are targeting Africa, and because it's closer to Africa, makes for a better signal in that area. Relay station, and they are targeting Africa, and because it's closer to Africa, makes for a better signal in that area towards North America-ish, so we can hear it pretty well. But it's really because they are using relays to make reception better in a target zone. So Radio Japan transmits from Madagascar. It does transmit from its own country in the Yamata transmitter site. And it also transmits from Austria and also from France. 0500, if you listen to 6155, I think it's 0500, it's Radio Japan in English. And I think it's meant for Europe. And 05, and that is a broadcast from Austria transmitter site. And the reason is because it makes a better signal over there. Transmitting from a country to another country, especially when, like from Japan to North America or from Japan to Europe, distances are pretty far. And sometimes, like, Tokyo, from Yamata, Japan to Africa, it's a lot further away. So it's less reliable when you transmit. So by using a relay, they know that it's going to make it easier for the target zone to receive. And a lot of stations are doing that. Look at here in North America, we have a nice, really a nice mix of relays thanks to WRMI in Florida, because the stations like Radio Prague, Radio Slovakia, Radio Ukraine, Radio Tirana, all of that, a lot of these stations don't even have a shortwave outlet anymore, but they have a voice on shortwave thanks to relays. And they know that it makes for a signal to be pretty good here in North America at the same time. So lots of relays are used from different stations to make it easier in their target zones. What else do we have? Giuseppe, same here. I used to hear WBCQ all the time and can never get it now. Upstate New York. Yeah, a lot of it skips over us. The best time for me to receive WBCQ is usually in the summer. It's a little easier in the summer. So I'm like, indeed, I misunderstood the name of the station because I'm using my smartphone. Yeah. Kevin Wood, barely audible on 9330. G-Bone still has a NHK QSL card. Jerry. Yeah, I'm gonna wear a mask to do the show. Maybe I need to watch my microphone for poop. Oh God. David Martin, I watched some YouTube videos about the WBCQ and their commitment to free speech. I would be very pleasantly surprised if any Joblo could submit programming for $50 an hour. And yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do, depending on the transmitter, depending where you want to be heard. I mean, these are available, William Helms, my dad had a TRC 30A, oldest I've been, was 10 years old at the time. James Farley, 2598 megahertz upper sideband. What is it? That comes from Canada. Let me just tune it here. So I'm hearing it right now really well. So that is maritime weather. Maritime weather from Canada. At this time, 2598. 2598. We're at what? 0140. And from what I see, depending on the schedules here, is that this would be Goose Bay, Newfoundland, Canada, VOK, from 0137 to 02. So this is VOK in Goose Bay, Newfoundland, Canada. And this is maritime weather for the Atlantic and the Gulf of St. Lawrence. 2598 and 2749 are two of the frequencies where a lot of activity on the Canadian weather side, for sure. Absolutely, Kevin. NHK used to be relayed via Sackville. Absolutely. Ref says, "Oh, great! Now we have to watch our speakers for poop." Yeah, internet transmitted poop. Oh God. So, I'm just gonna share a little something here. If you like what I do, PayPal.me/shortwave, or PayPal donations can be sent to the Yahoo email that you see here. And you can become a patron at patreon.com and share a little something every month automatically. Patreon.com/radio and computers. Thanks everybody that have donated. Remember that I'm here all the time. I do this all the time, and I mean, there's always something to buy, something to change, to maintain a minimum of quality to the show. And thanks for those that have donated. So I've got a big question for you guys. Big questions. My question is, say you're running out of the house and you need a radio. You don't have time to choose. Your instincts will make you pick up one in particular if you have more than one. If you have only one, well, that's the one you'll use. What is your quick pick radio if you run outside and you need a radio for something? What would be your choice? So, of course, by default, pretty much, man, I would probably pick up the XH Data by instinct right now. XH Data D808. That would be my quick pickup radio. Things change. Who knows? Maybe a C Crane. Maybe who knows? I don't think it would be a C Crane. After testing it a little bit, I don't think the C Crane would ever make the cut because its audio is very low. I was thinking that my C Crane Skywave SSB today, if I was outside, I'm not sure the audio is strong enough to really help and be easy to listen to. And it was obvious in the video that I posted. I posted one video with the XH Data versus the C Crane. It's obvious that the XH Data's audio is stronger. So, honestly, out of my head, top of my head, quick. I'm out of the house. I need something. Probably XH Data D808 would be my choice. So, what would be your choice if you had to run out and bring a radio with you? Whatever it is. Tom DXer, are you still on track to do 3 p.m. live broadcast with from Sheldon at the Shortwave Fest? Yeah, absolutely. 2020 UTC this Friday. Sheldon Harvey from the Shortwave Fest in Pennsylvania will be calling in via Skype. And we will have a live feed from the Shortwave Fest coming up in the live show on this Friday. So, absolutely. Matt, Shannon Volmet, 5505, upper sideband, quite good in Colorado right now. 5505. Yeah, pretty good here, too. Pretty good here also for the Shannon Volmet. It could be a portable. It could be a desktop that you'll set up somehow, but you would have to, whatever. Let's put it in a, perfect situation. You can run it off of batteries for somehow or some way or power it. But you're running out of the house and you need a radio with you. Which one will it be? Matt says, honestly, I think it would be the PL600s just because it would be the easiest to operate. That's an interesting aspect of it. It is true that, a radio like the Texan PL600 is technically less complicated to operate. It's more straightforward than, say an XH Data. Max Edstrong, Sony 7600 would be my pick. That's a nice one. Tom DXer, Sony ICF 2010. Aha. G-Bone 1, DX390, and the ICF 2010. Artists Alley Crafters, quick pick, Sony ICF 2010. It's interesting because from what I see until now is that everybody that has an ICF 2010, that would be their picks for a radio, a quick pick radio. That's also a good way of thinking. Like Mike Strong says, Sony 7600 says old school but bulletproof. Brand Texan PL 660 for simplicity of use. That's interesting. Pretty interesting. Kevin Wood, Eton E5. It is the equivalent of the Grundig G5, I believe, right? I got to say, that's a good one. Kevin J. Napalo, Texan PL 450. That's a pretty good one. XH Data D808, also a good one. PL 450 is really, really nice. Gibbon, if not, the S350. It's always nearby. Blues Dude, Texan PL 660. Giuseppe, what's the lowest frequency you've ever picked up? Just got 60 kilohertz WWVB for the first time the other day. Man, lowest frequency I've picked up here. Long time ago, but I believe hearing something. What was it? Oh, lowest frequency. You got me here. Oh, but okay. Yeah. Lowest frequency would be the Lawrence C network of transmitters at 100 kilohertz. That was easy to listen to, actually, even in noisy situations. There's a couple of stations left, but there's not a lot now. But it used to be super easy. So I would say the Lawrence C network, and that's 100 kilohertz. So 100 kilohertz would be technically pretty much the lowest frequency I've ever heard anything. Rufus Newt, Sony ICF 7600. Rifleman 336, Radio Labs Modified Radio Shack DX398. Jerry DX, ICOM R30, covered on all the bands and up. You know, I got one, but it would not be my choice. It, especially here, it doesn't perform well enough. I'm sorry, but maybe in some more, like rural areas, better. I like the idea because you really have a wide band radio, but no, that would not be my choice. G-Bone 1 had the 7600 for a long time. Cool. Tom, ICOM 7300. James Farley, PL 880. Rufus says, I would not leave with one radio. But yeah, I had only one. Only one. Gustavo Pinto, ICR 30. Yeah, that would be a must. The AA adapter to make sure that you can pop in some AA batteries in there. Ronald Sugala, nice to have you here, Ronald. Without exception, I would take the Texan S8800 because it has a remote and is great on all bands. Nerdy Gray Fox, nice to have you here. Would take is Texan S2000 if I have space. If not, my XH Data D808. Okay. Crittenden Tuttle 4. Right now, with what I got, would be my Galaxy Note 9 NESDR, LNA, and SDR Touch with a long wire and a 9-1 balun. So that's a portable situation here. Yeah, Sony made great portables. I've never really, I can't even think of a Sony branded radio that was crappy. I mean, some are better than the others for sure, but I cannot think of a Sony branded radio that is actually crappy. Hey, Jim, nice to have you here, my friend. Yeah, Grandig G5, William Helms, amazingly good radio. Palm Trex 120-00300. Over is DX375. Jeff King, Texan PL390. Ham Extra, grab his Panasonic RF2200. Interesting to see all the diversity of radios out there. Kind of cool. It's heavy, absolutely. It's an heavy radio, but hey, if you can. J-Bone says, I thought about the ICF Shortwave 1 with real antenna. Linux DOS WBCQ 9330 S5 tonight with lots of QSB. Kevin Wood, if I needed a bug out radio, it would be my IC706 2G with antenna. What was that? What was the frequency, Kevin Wood? Low frequency station NAA from Cutler, Maine. G-Bone, I also really liked using this ICF Sony 6800W. Big boy Sony. Max Strong Collins R390A with extra tubes. And 390 for backup. RFDXer. Nice to have you on board from Southeast Colorado. Keegan just ordered an executive satellite radio with RDS on Amazon. Expected sometime in early March. Cool. Pretty cool. Sony radios that were a lot of fun. Sony radios were a lot of fun. I mean, they made great portables. I never, you know what? I never owned a shortwave radio from Sony, ever. I remember when I got the Kenwood R5000 in 1990, my choice was between Kenwood R5000 and a Sony ICF 2010. The R5000 was a little more expensive, but it was a tabletop and it was really highly rated. That's where I got it. But I would have liked to have, especially at 7600 JR, it was available on Amazon at some point. I remember it being on sale at like $149, but I just didn't have the money for it at the time. But I would have picked it up at that price for sure. The 7600 would have enjoyed having at least one Sony. Wow, 21 kilohertz, Kevin. Man, that's low. Because I don't think I've ever heard anything below 100 kilohertz, honestly. Matt, currently awaiting This Is a Music Show, WRI 5850. Linux DOS, getting anything on 9380, 9380. I've got absolutely nothing here. Nothing at all. 9380 is totally empty here. 31 meter band doesn't have a lot of stuff actually right now. I'm looking even at WRMI 9395 and it's not even there. I don't even see WRMI right now. So propagation on 31 meters is not the best at this time. Kind of interesting. Been looking at all of it here. Apart from that, so I've got 9330. There's something weak. I got something on 9385. I got 9385 that has WEWN, Catholic station. Yeah, 9385 is WEWN. That's what I'm getting here in English right now from the United States. Matt says, hey, just got a Facebook memory of the time I found HM01. Hard to believe it's been 4 years since I got into this. Crazy, eh? Time flies. I mean, I think about the fact that I listened to shortwave, in 1980-ish, probably with a multiband portable. But that it all started with that DX. Let me just DX 100 in 1982. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that in 2022, it'll be 40 years since I officially started this hobby in a serious way. And I would not be here without that. Would not be here without the DX 100. Rufus says, if I had to jet with one pocket radio, G6. So if you had to use one pocket radio, G6. Man. G-Bone is listening to long wave, medium wave, and anything below 2500 kilohertz a lot. Cool. Really nice. So, hey guys, we're going to cut it a little short tonight. We've been on for 2 hours, and we'll be back on Friday. We'll try to have some interesting show on Friday. Of course, don't forget that this coming Friday is going to be the live feed with Sheldon from the Shortwave Festival in Pennsylvania. It all starts at 20 UTC this Friday. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. It was a great show as usual. We talked about poop and coronaviruses and radios and dominating the world with radio. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Don't forget, if you're a Spectrum Monitor subscriber, Spectrum Monitor March issue is today. And thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for the donations. If you can spare a few dollars, don't forget, it's always helpful and always fun, and always nice to have everybody on board. So take care, everybody. Stay safe, and always nice to have you here. AVT Radio, nice to have you here. AA1SU. Take care. See you Friday, 20 hours, Universal Time, when we will be live with Sheldon from the Shortwave Fest and talk about radio, tune the bands, and have fun. So stay safe, my friends. And thanks for being great fans, as usual. More videos coming up of the Sea Crane and the Sangean ATS 909X and the Sea Crane Shortwave, bigger one, and testing of different radios and all sorts of stuff coming in. So take care, my friend. Bye-bye now.